Let's now discuss the suspense in the story. Shirley Jackson builds the suspense very slowly, actually, but steadily, with ever increasing tension, till there is no way out for the Allisons but to accept the inevitable. They had chosen to stay on to face the winter and end of their lives together in the cottage they had come to love. She said the wind slapped hard at the windows. The two old people huddled together in their summer cottage and waited. Here it was very suspenseful, though it was very slow. The motion was very slow. The repetition of nobody ever staying out at the lake after Labor Day by each of the townspeople to the Allisons, combined with the townspeople's slow, deliberate, and intentional movements, reinforces the seriousness with which the breaking of a tradition is viewed by the townspeople. Their unwillingness to continue the summer services to the Allisons throughout the next month illustrates the strict country adherence to tradition as a result of generations of inbreeding. All the time, the same ideas are there, the same dominant perceptions are there, and the bad land, according to Mr. Allison. Like Mrs. Allison, the audience becomes frustrated by the repetition and desperately calls to Mrs. Allison to ask why, but she never does. So she never asks the people, why do you always keep on asking us to leave? Thus, Shirley Jackson foreshadows the Allisons' acceptance of life's end, as if they here surrendered, they gave up. The audience feels the growing mystery surrounding the Allisons' decision to stay. The Allisons want to belong, but the townspeople only let them belong for the summer. They can only ever be the summer people. Shirley Jackson further built suspense through the irregular mail service becoming more regular in its delivery of the New York newspapers, but not in the delivery of letters. She noticed that there was an unusual number of dirty fingerprints on the envelope. This actually wasn't a physical evidence, however, it made her feel like something was wrong. Let's move now to the conflict. Mrs. Allison continually justifies their decision to stay past Labor Day. The audience is once more left wondering why. Of course, this shows that she was hesitant. She wasn't sure of her decision. She wasn't convinced. We've been hurrying back to New York every year, and there just wasn't any need for it, she says to Mr. Charlie Walpole. The townspeople are determined the Allisons leave. They can only ever be the summer people. Mr. Allison knew what fate awaited them when he saw a light down at the Hall place the previous night. Here, this also shows or creates suspense in the story. Let's finally discuss the figurative language and the literary devices used in this selection. Of course, Shirley Jackson used alliteration and assonance, which are literary devices used mostly in poems, but she could, of course, as a very professional writer, use them here in a story. The alliteration lends a poetic tone to the text. She said the winter was well worth while waiting. So the repetition of the initial letters here is very effective. The assonance is an equally effective poetic device, also used in her prose. Shirley Jackson combines the sense of sight, smell, and feelings to paint her mental imagery. She creates a really memorable image in the brain of the reader, and she uses very interesting vocabulary words. In addition to that, she uses personification and metaphors that are unexpected and refreshing. For example, she said, unhooking the hose from where it coiled affectionately around the cab of the truck. This is really very interesting. There was irony actually in the summer people when we know that Mrs. Allison was all the time praising the townspeople as being so solid and so reasonable and so honest, while actually those very same people were plotting the Allisons' murder. So here we have kind of dramatic irony.